Hello, my name is Joelle, and today I will be discussing Maysoon Zayid's TED Talk entitled, I Got 99 Problems and Palsy is Just One. Maysoon Zayid is a famous writer, actor, comedian, and co-founder of the New York Arab American Comedy Festival. Zayid uses humor throughout her TED Talk to share her experiences about growing up as an Arab American woman with cerebral palsy. She begins by telling her story about how she ended up with cerebral palsy, explaining that it is not a genetic condition and that the doctor who delivered her was responsible for her disability. He was drunk while her mother was delivering and cut off her oxygen supply during the delivery process. She then goes on to explain that just because she has CP, she is not an inspiration and she does not want anyone to feel bad for her. I think this is a really important takeaway from the video because as able-bodied individuals, we often pity those and feel bad for those with disabilities, whether it be physical or mental disabilities. Oftentimes, we look at them for doing daily tasks as an inspiration, and I think this further creates the stigma surrounding those with disabilities. If we continually treat them like they are less than, they will never be considered equal. So I think that's a really important point that Maysoon makes in this video when she says she is not an inspiration simply because she has cerebral palsy. So further on into the video, she talks about how her parents, especially her father, always pushed her to be her best. She said that her father's mantra was, "You can do it, yes you can." Most people with cerebral palsy don't walk, but Maysoon is an exception. When she was very little, her father would put her feet on top of his feet and practice walking around the house. He would also dangle a dollar bill in front of her as an incentive to chase it and to walk. Maysoon was very thankful for her father and all the hard work that it took to help her be able to walk. But she also said that her and her sisters were held to the exact expectation. Her 3 older sisters were able-bodied. And so what that means is they did not have any disabilities. Everything else, they're all Arab American, but they did not have any disabilities. And so everything that her sisters were expected to do, she was expected to do. If they went to school, she went to the same school. If they did dance, she did dance. But those opportunities were all the same, but the punishments were also the same. So I think it really helped that her parents didn't treat her special because of her disability. She said that her parents really reinforced the notion that she could do anything that she wanted and that no dream was impossible regardless of how big it was. Zayid's biggest dream was to be on Broadway and on a soap opera, and really just she wanted to be in the Hollywood scene. So she went to college for acting. At college, Zayid soon found out that life was not as accepting as the community that she grew up in. She soon found out that her identity markers, which included being Palestinian, Muslim, female, and disabled, all interacted and created this complex convergence of oppression for her. So when different social categorizations such as race, gender, disability, when those different independent systems overlap, it creates this term called intersectionality. And what that means is that these different identity markers, when they overlap, cause a greater disadvantage or discrimination for an individual. So if you are a woman, you would experience some discrimination. But if you are a black woman, you experience even more discrimination because you are in the crossroads of those two categories overlapping. So hopefully that makes a little more sense when she refers to the term intersectionality. But while she's at college, she never gets cast as a lead role for any of the plays that she tries out for. Finally, they get this play where the lead character has cerebral palsy. She is convinced that she will get the role. She said she was born for this role. She has CP. The lead character has CP. It's a perfect fit. they ended up casting it to an able-bodied individual. And Zayid goes on to discuss that there are so many problems with this, but in the moment, Zayid is so upset, she goes to the casting director and asks, why she didn't get it. And their answer was, well, we didn't think you could do the stunts. Zayid answered back and said, if I can't do the stunts, then neither can the character with CP. So she goes on to say how this also translated into the Hollywood scene. Hollywood and the media have a long history of casting able-bodied actors to play disabled on screen. People with disabilities are the largest minority in the world and are the most underrepresented in entertainment. Zayid makes a very good point by saying, if an individual in a wheelchair can't play Beyonce, then Beyonce cannot play a person in a wheelchair. And I think that's a very strong and valid point. And I think that this scene in Hollywood needs to change. I think also Zayid hits on the fact that the internet can be a very cruel place and it tears down anybody that is different from the norm. She said that once she went on Keith Olbermann's talk show, she was ridiculed online for her disability, for being Muslim, for anything that people could pick out about her. And she really hopes that together as a society, we can create more positive images of disability in the media and in everyday life. And hopefully that this can help change the misrepresentation of those with disabilities in the media and in Hollywood and in movies, because it's unfair for those with disabilities to continue to be shut out and put down simply because of their disabilities. So I've posed 3 questions from the video that I would like everyone to consider and think about because I think they're very important. So first off, Zayid uses humor to make her points. Do you think that this is a form of stigma management or stigma response or not? And why? If you're not sure what stigma management is, feel free to look it up so you can answer with an informed answer. Of the intersectional identity markers which stigmatize Maysoon, which do you think is the most pressing? Do you think that Zayid feels that one of these is more oppressive than the other? And for the last question, how can we advocate for those with disabilities and challenge the stigma regarding those with disabilities on social media? Thank you for listening to my summary of Maysoon Zayid's TED Talk. I got 99 problems and palsy is just one. Feel free to go check it out on TEDTalks.com.